Hello, Christine here at the Craft Table. If you ever wonder why I called it Christine's Craft Table and all I ever talk about is crochet, it's because by the time I decided I wanted to have a crochet sharing channel, all the names I could think of with the word crochet in them were taken. So that is why we came up with the Craft Table. I had hoped to do some sewing as well, and 2 years in and I have not gotten to the sewing yet. But it's still there. So yeah, that's why it's called the Craft Table. Anyhow, today I want to share a blanket that I recently finished. This blanket is going to be shipped to Creative Grandma. She is doing a blanket drive right now for Project Linus, and the blankets have to be to her, I think it's by June 1st, beginning of June. So I will get this washed and in the mail to her very promptly here, since today is Thursday, May 21st. But I have to share it because I love this pattern. This is the second time I make it, and I will probably make it again. This is what I would consider the most cuddly blanket I've ever made, or blanket pattern I've ever made. It is called the Sweet Marshmallow Kiss, or Marshmallow Kiss, one of the two. It is a pattern designed by Mama Swift. She has a YouTube channel, and the tutorial was done by Jax at Creations by Jax. And so if you want to do the pattern, it's a free pattern because they actually designed it for Boggy Creek Camp, which I made my first one for. But you can access the pattern on Jax's website. I think it's also called creationbyjax.com. But she will have a link in the YouTube video tutorial. Jax will. So I'll put links in the description box below this video if you're interested in making the blanket. Again, Sweet Marshmallow Kiss. And can you see all the baubles? It is the fluffiest blanket ever. Totally huggable, you know. You could just like hug it like a teddy bear and go to sleep. But super easy. It's a 2-row. Is it a 2-row repeat? I can't even remember now. Yes. No, a 1-row repeat. Yeah. Once you get going, it's a 1-row repeat. This is a square. She has the pattern laid out both in to be able to do a square, or if you prefer going back and forth for, you know, to make it like more of a rectangle. Mine turned out to be a 44-inch square. I kind of just kept going until I felt I had a good size for this blanket drive. They collect for all ages from babies to teenagers, so the size ought to fit someone well. But I made it with a total of 2,093 yards using a 6mm hook. And like I said, it's super easy. The little baubles are made of 3 double crochets done together. You know, where you start a double crochet and you don't finish it, and you do that 2 more times and then you finish all 3 of them together. That is the bauble. And you create the same look on both the back and the front by turning the blanket over with every row. So that is really cool because there is no real backside. It is fluffy and huggable on both sides. I used, let's see, this was Loops and Threads Soft Classic, the Michaels brand, in the color Clay. This was Impeccable in the color Aran, also a Loops and Threads line. This was also Impeccable in the color Gold. I went back to the Aran. I used the Aran in between every color just to separate them. This is Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn in the colorway Instant Classic. And again, the Aran. This is Peacock, the color Peacock in Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn. This is also I Love This Yarn in the color Antique Teal. Then I went back to the Aran and then black to finish it off, kind of frame it all up. I did not use the Aran between these two colors because I only had one skein of the Peacock and it only gave me like what? By this size, it was only giving me 1, 2, 3 rows. And I didn't want to go back and have this really skinny row, so I went ahead and moved on to the Antique Teal for a nice thick row of color before I went back to the Aran. So that was the pattern. All yarns I had on hand. I was trying to use up my yarn. And what can I say? I highly recommend this pattern. It's a great tutorial. I highly recommend watching the tutorial because it really explains the mechanics of the written pattern really well. So yeah, I hope you like it. I hope you'll make it and enjoy it and gift it to somebody who just needs that blanket that's going to be their go-to for not only for warmth but just for comfort. This is a very comforting blanket. So yeah, really happy with this. Before I go, shout out to Carmen Heffernan for this adorable head kerchief. I made this with scraps also of my fingering yarns, mostly from socks, I think, that I've made in the past. Free pattern on Carmen's website, Annie Design Crochet. This worked up really quick. You're just doing the little 3 round granny squares and then you connect them all and put a little border on it and you're done. And then 2 ties. So it's very lightweight and just gives me a nice little color on top of my messy hair. So love this pattern too. Highly recommend again from Carmen Heffernan. You can't go wrong with her patterns. I've done many of her scarves and shawls and haven't found a pattern yet of hers that I didn't like. So, okay, that's all I have for you today. And I will see you again, hopefully.